You guys may remember these logs we hauled home the other day. Well, it might be the other week now at this point for you guys, but we're gonna saw them into something totally different than you've ever seen before. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'd love to stand around and talk, but we got a thunderstorm bearing down on us. I got to get these things off the truck. Then we can talk about what we got going on here. Well, we made it. It's raining a little bit, but we didn't get dumped on. So yeah, they're a nice stack of logs, but we're not worried about the logs. Today, we're actually focusing on those parts. Let me get one under the mill, out of the rain, and I'm gonna enlighten you on what I'm working on today. I guess I'll never learn. I should have just kept my mouth shut. Right as I started putting this thing on the forks here, it just started dumping on me and I couldn't get to my raincoat fast enough, so I am totally soaked now. Second day in a row a thunderstorm snuck up on me, and well, I shouldn't say snuck up on me, but I got caught out in a thunderstorm. It goes with the territory this time of year. So what in the world are we doing here? You guys ever heard of cookies? Not chocolate chip or Oreo, although probably be a lot more fun than what I'm having right now. I'm sure you've seen what we call in the industry cookies, crosscuts. People use them for various things, centerpieces, tabletops, things like that. Well, typically it's something I've tried to avoid because it's just not my favorite thing to do. Usually they put up a pretty big fight. I mean, as you saw, that's a pretty big chunk there. It's not the easiest thing for me to get on the mill. You have to figure out a way to clamp them because you can't just set them on the mill like a regular log and clamp them. I believe Wood-Mizer makes a jig now for cutting these things, but well, I'm too cheap to invest in that. So I always just take scrap boards to bridge across my bunks, and then I put a sacrificial board here that I'll end up sawing through because obviously your stops aren't going to do much to hold that, and then I'll clamp it. So it's not a very complicated thing. It's just something that over the years I've grown to dislike. And usually when people ask me, I just say no. I'd rather be sawing productive grade lumber or lumber for flooring than fooling around with these things. But what happened here, I have a customer who just ordered a bunch of wood. I'm doing a bunch of work for him. And he was asking me about cookies. And I said, well, I don't really get into it. But he kept kind of pushing and pushing, and well, he came back here a couple days later, and well, he happened to see those logs on the truck. And he said, hey, those would make exactly what I need in cookies. And I said, well, you know what? I said, it just so happens that whoever cut those to length left them real long. So I have some trim room on them that I can still get my usable log, and it'd be an oddball length for me anyway. So I'll trim them down and I'll do it for you. So that's where we're at here. What is that, about a foot? So we'll get a couple out of them. He wants them 2 inches thick. And then you saw me trim up those other logs there. So I am going to saw them, I'm gonna sticker them, and I'll come back. We'll talk about drying, because that's a whole nother can of worms. Another reason I'm not crazy about these things. Went pretty smoothly, actually. Other than my set works is still not working right. If you've been following the channel, you know the problems I had with that. I thought I had it sorted out. Well, it's still not working 100% of the time. I ended up with one. It's a little bit thinner because of it. I didn't catch it quick enough. Overall though, you know, you're probably thinking, well, that seemed to be relatively painless, other than, you know, you guys, it's not your back, that was rearranging this big chunk. But no, it wasn't the worst thing. Actually, in a way, when these are bigger, it makes it easier. It's when you have a small log trying to clamp it, it gets real unstable. So that actually helped kind of create more of a stable base. You can see they're pretty nice, but they are getting a little rain speckled now. So another one of the big reasons I'm getting rain speckled from this white oak tree. Another one of the reasons why I don't particularly like cutting these things. The customer wants these dried. Well, some of you know where I'm going with this. When this comes out of the kiln, it is not going to look the way it looks right now. I'll give you a little bit of a lesson in kiln drying. So typically when we kiln dry, we're drying lumber which is cut in the other orientation. The rays run the length of the board. So if you can picture a board cut out of this particular piece, like it's the end of a log, the moisture can just kind of exit out of the sides, out of the ends. It's free to release out of the pores of the wood. You would think that would be the case here, and it is to some extent, but when you have a round piece like this, when wood dries, it shrinks. So let's say we take a 1x6 and put it in the kiln. When it comes out, it's going to be about 5 3/4, give or take. That'll depend on the type of wood it is, how much it'll shrink, but it shrinks. And when it's cut in that orientation, it can shrink, and we can usually work around that, and it's not a big deal. The problem with when you're cutting around like this, where's that shrinkage going to go? It's got to go somewhere. These cells have to shrink, and there's nowhere for it to release. So I can tell you exactly what's going to happen on this piece. From the center, you can see this crack is already starting to develop. That's going to crack right to the bark, and it's going to open up. And that's where it's going to release its stress, because the stress has to be relieved one way or another. So it's impossible to dry cookies like this without getting a crack from the center to the edge. I shouldn't say impossible. There's a few little tricks you can do. You can turn them on an angle and saw on an angle, and well, that's beyond the scope of this discussion. But these things are going to crack. So I talked it over with the customer. This is an experimental thing we're doing. They're going to crack. He's okay with it. He thinks he can work around it. I'm not even exactly sure 100% what his end product is with this, but I'm doing it for him as a favor because he's ordered a ton of other product from me, and we're kind of doing it as an experimental thing. I'm a little bit curious too, and let's face it, that foot I cut off of that log was going to be firewood. I mean, what else are you going to do with it? Hear that thunder. Yikes, we got another round coming. So, you know, I don't really lose anything than a little bit of time. We're going to experiment with it. I'll throw it in here on a kiln load. Your guess is as good as mine how exactly to go about drying this stuff. So we'll experiment with it a little bit. But if nothing else, it's a little bit different project. Something I could bring you guys that I thought was a little bit interesting on a stormy July day. How many videos do you go from raincoat to sunglasses? And I'm probably going back to raincoat here in a minute. There's another thunderstorm coming. So I got 2 more of these things. I'm shooting for like maybe 10 to 15 of these cookies for this batch. So I'm gonna wrestle that on the mill. I wanna get my straps rolled up here before the next round comes and I get soaked again, or I get hit by lightning. So I'm gonna cut this one off here, guys. Short little video for you this week. I'll catch you next week with something totally different. See you then.